All right, and welcome into the Betting Pros podcast. It's All-Star Weekend in the NBA as the sport's biggest stars head to the Bay Area. We'll get you set from a betting perspective and break down the full weekend of festivities. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, and today I'm joined by a guy who lives and breathes the association. He's a writer for the New York Post and the Action Network, among other places, plus a content creator for us here at Betting Pros. It's Drew Norton. Drew, thanks so much for joining us today, man. How are you following maybe the wildest trade deadline in league history?
When I got the notification on my phone, I just thought Shams got hacked. To be honest with you, I was like, there's no way. It was like 45 minutes before I actually started believing like, oh, this is really happening right now. My God. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go too overboard with it, but to be honest, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like it.
Oh, yeah, and, you have the Luka trade that hits last Saturday night, and then, a couple days later, it just feels like all the teams are emptying out their pockets. Stars are changing teams left and right. A lot to keep up with from a gambling point of view, and then, we have the Lakers. They're involved in a trade and a trade back, and so just a wild time. I'm excited to kind of put that aside for a little while here, and we can kind of rest our laurels here heading into the All-Star Weekend. Today's program does look like this. We'll be breaking down the Rising Stars Challenge, the skills competition, the three-point contest, and the dunk contest, and of course the All-Star Game and the All-Star MVP. I'll explain the formats and the teams for each of these events. Drew will give us his best bets. And before we jump in, I just wanted to shout out everyone tuning in on the Betting Pros YouTube channel and the podcast feed. Thank you so much for all the support. And while you're here, please do us a quick favor and like this video if you enjoy this type of content. Also, subscribe to the channel if you are new. And Drew, let's go ahead. Let's jump into where the party gets started on Friday night with the Rising Stars Challenge tipping off at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, Celeb Game will be before that. This is a 14 three-game tournament. The winner will earn a spot in the actual All-Star Game itself for the first time. They'll play the semifinal games to 25 points. The championship game is going to 40 points. The highlights and the DraftKings odds for each team include Mitch Richmond's team, plus 135. You got Portland's Scoot Henderson. You also got Toumani Camara and Washington's Bub Carrington. Tim Hardaway's team, maybe the most high-profile team of this lot here. You got the Magic's Anthony Black, Tristan Da Silva. Also, you got the number 1 and number 2 picks from the 2024 NBA Draft, Alex Sarr and Zachary Reese-Shea. Chris Mullin's team, plus 310. Spurs, Stephon Castle. Lakers, Dalton Connect. Utah's Keontae George. And, of course, Grizzlies, Zach Edey. Jeremy Lin's team is going to be made up of mostly G-Leaguers, currently priced at plus 450. Of course, Osceola's Magic's Mac McClung. Also, Rio Grande Valley Vipers, Reed Shepherd. How do you think this shakes out here on Friday night for us, Drew?
Honestly, I get the appeal of going with Team Mitch here. I mean, I really get it. You got the Thompson twins, and I just don't really see Amin playing super hard. I feel like he and maybe a few other guys have had the sit down, come to Jesus chat where where it's like, hey man, you are an integral part of what's going to be a playoff team and a playoff rotation. We've seen him post triple doubles this year. Like, he's had some massive games, and he's really coming into his own, especially on the defensive end of the floor. He's a freak. There's just simply no other way to put it. So I understand the appeal of going with Team Mitch, and obviously so do the odds makers at, I think, plus 135. But I don't see him being able to play as hard as he probably wants to, just again, because of the kind of sit down chat. I'm also a little concerned about the sort of construction of that team. Who's exactly going to be shooting threes for them outside of like maybe Bub Carrington and Scoot, I guess, but like, I don't love that. I don't love the construction there. Obviously the Thompsons aren't. Koulibaly's not a great 3-point shooter yet. Nisi, don't say less. So, I don't actually love that team in this format. The team I like is Team Chris, plus 310, actually. He's got the 3 highest impact rookies this season. Edey, Wells, Stephon Castle. And Edey's kind of a psycho. I'm a diehard Memphis Grizzlies fan.
Okay.
So Yeah, so I know everything about the team and the guys and stuff like that. And Edie, who's going to want to bang down low with a 7'4" guy
True.
right now in a situation like this? And he's shown a little bit of passing chops out of the post as well if he gets doubled. So I like Team Chris at plus 310. I think there's going to be a lot of cohesion there, and I definitely think they're probably the most well constructed.
I mean, talk about a guy who's probably motivated on that team with Edie. It's Dalton Connect, a guy who thought he was no longer going to be a Laker, ends up staying a Laker. So maybe he has something to prove here. And I feel like whether you like Tim Hardaway's team or Mullen's team, there's probably some value there. You could take both of them and still make a profit if you do it the right way. You've set up your unit allocation smartly. Do you like Hardaway's team at all with these young rookies in Sar and Risa Shea kind of shaping up here? I know Anthony Black, he's had kind of a lot of traction in the betting world as of late as well.
Yeah, Anthony Black is great. He was not a guy I was super high on going into the draft a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Admittedly, I didn't kind of miss on him, but he's been fantastic. I mean, super long, very rangy player, very high IQ. Reza Shea has also come on recently. It's also been solid. I don't know though. I don't love it. I don't love
Okay.
that team. I'm definitely higher on Team Chris, and I also kind of like the G League team.
I was going to ask.
So, and here's why. They might actually try.
Right.
Most of these guys don't necessarily have these huge contracts yet. A couple of them do have,
Mm-hmm.
kind of first round contracts, like a Reed Shepard, somebody like that. But yeah, a lot of these guys might be trying because of the exposure and because
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of eyes on them. It can't hurt. It certainly can't hurt. The more exposure that you get in an event like this, the better for your long-term chances of sticking in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I look at a guy like Leonard, for example, and I think he's buried at the end of that bench. And I mean, they got Julius Randle and they got Naz Reid and they got Rudy Gobert. It's going to be hard for front court players to see the floor, but that guy is a ball player. he's an absolute ball player. So yeah, I see some of these guys coming out and just really laying it all out there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
plus 450, decent value.
Yeah, so your probably best bet is going Chris Mullen's team plus 310. Drew's telling us if you want to take a sprinkle on a flyer, it might be Jay Lynn's team. I love that Jeremy Lynn's coaching that
That
team
was
too. I
awesome.
mean, yeah, it's just a great story. So excited to see him in the mix on Friday night. So Drew, he's going with Chris Mullen's team and also a little flyer potentially on the G Leaguers at plus 450. Before we keep it moving, if you like betting on basketball, well then join host Terrell Furman on the Fast Break Bets podcast, your daily dose of basketball betting picks. Tune in every weekday for your rapid fire fix of all things basketball. Check out the Fast Break Bets podcast on the Betting Pros YouTube channel or wherever you listen to your podcasts. The State Farm All-Star Saturday Night gets underway at 8 p.m. Eastern Time with the Kia Skill Challenge. No official rules have been announced yet, but the amount of teams has increased from 3 to 4. The number of players per team has shrunk from 3 to 2. The teams currently include Team Spurs plus 165, Chris Paul and Wemby. Team Cavs, you got Spida Mitchell and Evan Mobley plus 210. Team Brooks plus 425, Alex Sarr and Risa Shea once again teaming up here. And then Team Warriors plus 425 with Draymond Green and Moses Moody. Drew, who do you like here? Because to me on paper, it seems like CP3 and Wemby are the deserving slam dunk favorites.
Absolutely. No, I definitely think, for skills challenges, you got CP3,
Yeah,
one of the greatest maestros, one of the greatest ball handlers, one of the greatest passers,
certainly.
uh, of all time. So somebody who can do a little bit of everything like that, very quick, very nimble. And then you got Wemby. Wemby's freaky, man. That's
Yeah.
one of the freakiest players we've ever seen. So I do really like Team Spurs, and Team Cavs kind of have my attention as well with the Mobley and Mitchell pairing. I feel like Mobley's really been able this year to kind of step out, step more into himself and more out of, the role he was kind of playing.
Sure.
He really has handled the ball a lot more this year, driving, dribble drives, just been able to do all that, but we know, he is one of the most versatile 7-footers in the league. So I do like those two teams. I'm going to pass on the Rooks and
Yeah.
the expensive backpack though.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to see Draymond Green and Moses Moody paired up together.
Yeah.
I was kind of
I'll be honest, I don't really understand that, but
I don't think I do either. So really, it feels like this is coming down to Team Cavs and Team Spurs for you. You think it's a 2-man race pretty much?
I think so. These skills contest challenges are always a real toss up.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a whole lot of analysis that kind of goes
Yeah.
into this. You just have to kind of take it at what it is and make your best kind of prediction in that. But yeah, I think Team Spurs and Team Cavs have the best odds of pulling through on this one.
Okay, as far as unit allocation goes, like throughout the weekend, are you dabbling or like in these skills competitions? And we'll get to the 3-point dunk contest. Is this a dabble for you, or is it something that you would lay down multiple units on?
This one, the skills contest challenge, definitely just kind of dabbling.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. As far as the Rising Stars challenge, I'll probably throw a unit on each of the teams that we discussed.
Okay.
Full probably unit on the G League team. I just see them trying real hard,
Yeah.
But I will specify that moving forward, like kind of what I would throw on.
Perfect. Yeah, there's just so much happening this weekend too. It's good to kind of have a mindset of how we manage our bankroll in this type of weekend-long scenario. Following the skills competition is the Starry 3-point contest. This has really become the trademark event, I would say, of All-Star Weekend. Similar rules as always: 70 seconds to shoot 5 racks of 5 balls each. 4 racks have regular balls and 1 money ball worth 2 points. And then the 5th rack, 5 money balls that can be placed wherever the player chooses. There are also 2 long-range spots, 30 feet out, 1 ball, each of those worth 3 points. This is a 2-round contest with the top 3 advancing into the final round. Entries include for this event Milwaukee's Dame Lillard plus 400. He's trying to join Larry Bird and Craig Hodges as the only player to ever win this event 3 straight times. Cleveland's Darius Garland plus 425. Clippers Norman Powell 5-1. Miami's Tyler Hero plus 750. New York's Jalen Brunson 7-1. Golden State's Buddy Hield also 7-1. And then Brooklyn's Cam Johnson plus 750. And Detroit Cade Cunningham, the longest shot in this mix, at 10-1. Drew, can Dame Dollar do what the Chiefs could not, secure the 3-peat, or is this maybe potentially setting us up for value elsewhere down the board?
I definitely think he can secure the 3-peat, and he's my favorite in this one for sure. I mean, I think people oftentimes kind of overlook the uniqueness of this challenge, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times it's, well, let's look at the 3-point percentage for these players this year. It's like, well, that we're already off on the wrong foot if we're doing that. That's
Okay.
just not the right thing. As far as players reaching down to a cart, picking up a ball, and then getting into their mechanics, it's very unique. It's not something obviously that happens in a game. The only thing I can even think of that's close to it is like an errant pass outside of your shooting pocket, and then you're kind of loading into your shot. You almost have to go with what you've seen, and Lillard is very, very good in these events, as he's proven back-to-back seasons. So, I think bettors sometimes get caught up, like I said, 3-point percentages. It just doesn't matter. I mean, you look at guys, some of these guys that are in it are more catch and shoot in nature. Some of them are more off the dribble in nature. It's not gonna, it holds no, bearing here. So, and only once since 2009, actually, has a player won the contest and led the league that same season in 3-point percentage. That was
wow.
Joe Harris. So, and that honestly kind of makes sense. Again, catch and shoot guy, and then that's kind of, the mechanics of it all. But yeah, I'm also kind of looking at Garland as well. 7 of the past 14 3-point shooting contests, a first-time player has won this contest.
Wow.
So, which is really interesting because that's during the Steph and Clay era, and those guys, I mean, they're hard to beat. I'm not really looking at Powell. He's more of a movement and transition 3-point shooter. If you watch him throughout a game, the shot variation is substantial. A
Mm.
lot of times you're looking at him catching the ball, moving north-south in transition, and he rises up very high for a jump shot. He's more of a legs shooter in transition. So that sort of repetitive movement like that, I don't think that is going to benefit him. And I don't necessarily see Cade winning this. I just don't think he's a consistent enough three-point shooter. So I like Lillard and Garland here.
Okay, no love for Tyler Hero. He's got the song about him. I know some
I
bettors are going to be
know.
drawn to him.
I know. I know. I do like Tyler Hero, but I'm not
Okay.
seeing it.
Okay. All right. So once again, liking the favorites here, going with Dame Lillard and Darius Garland plus 400 for Lillard, plus 425 for Darius Garland. Let's keep it moving here, but first, real quick, I just wanted to remind everyone to please tune into the Daily Juice podcast for host Matt Peralt's top picks and props across all major sports every single day in 15 minutes or less. Check out the Daily Juice on the Betting Pros YouTube channel or wherever you listen to your podcast to start winning today. Rounding out Saturday night is the AT&T Dunk Contest. We're expecting a similar format to last year. 4 competitors. They get 2 dunks in the first round, scored by a panel of judges. The top 2 players in the highest combined scores will be advancing to the finals. They'll get 2 more dunks in the final round. The winner, whoever has the highest combined score in the final round. Back-to-back winner, G League merchant Mac McClung. He's the heavy favorite, minus 230. The Spurs, Stephon Castle, plus 650. As is Milwaukee's Andre Jackson Jr. And then Chicago's Matas Buzelis. He'll be plus 700 in this event. Drew, will McClung make history, be the first player to ever win 3 straight dunk contests, or should we be taking some long shots because Jaylen Brown tried to dethrone him and could not? I mean, this is a guy, say what you want about his overall basketball game, he can absolutely fly.
Oh gosh, yeah, he's one of the most electric dunkers I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I mean, you're talking about just it's funny. You probably walk into a gym. I bet growing up, it's interesting. You probably walked in 6-foot white dude next. He's jumping 45 inches off the ground, just absolutely hammering on people. Yeah, I mean, he's one of the most electric dunkers of all time. I mean, his bag is exceptional. It's incredible. I think we're either looking at a McClung three-peat, and I don't hate taking a little flyer as well on Andre Jackson. So it takes a super special solo 2-footed dunker to win this contest historically. You got to either be an Aaron Gordon, Dwight Howard, Blake Griffin type,
Yeah.
or you got to be basically sub 6-foot guard like a
Oh.
McClung or a Nate
Mm-hmm.
Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hamidou Diallo got kind of lucky when he won, how everything kind of shook out. It was a little lucky, if we're being perfectly honest. But that's just kind of the caliber of 2-foot only dunker you have to be to win this thing. And that's kind of why I'm ruling out Stephon Castle. Stephon
Mm.
Castle dunking off 1 foot. He's basically like if you went and you started a my career on NBA 2K. He's got the basic dunk package off 1 foot. So he's going to be very sort of relegated to 2-foot only dunks. And I think that just kind of pigeonholes you a little bit as far as the different kinds of dunks that you can do and stuff
Mm.
like that. Andre Jackson, I could see him off 1 foot, off 2 feet, just trying some very unique things. So I kind of like him here, as well as McClung. I think the only thing that scares me about McClung is how heavy of a favorite is. I don't think voter fatigue is. I think it extends beyond just season awards, right?
Mm.
I think the shock value of a 6-foot white guy, going up and doing all these crazy dunks. I think it's just a little less now, right?
Mm.
People have seen the mixtapes, people have seen the dunk contests. So, regardless of whether it's right, wrong, whatever, I just think he goes out there, does something crazy, gets a 47, and then you're just kind of like left there like, well, I probably wouldn't grade that a 47, but they've been like, how much more does he have in the bag,
Right.
right? how many more different things can he do that is going to, uh, you know, really raise the eyebrows of
We need
these
some
judges?
props. We need some. Can anyone jump over a car again? Why has no one tried anything like this lately? I mean, come on.
It's gonna go to the most creative,
Mm-hmm.
really. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
remember the cupcake, blowing out the cupcake, like
Yeah.
jumping over the car, like things like that. And I just feel like we haven't really seen that recently. But I could see Andre Jackson doing something kind of wild.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't see Buzelis having the style. Simply put, the style to pull off a win here.
Mm.
He is a freak, 6'10", very lanky, pretty powerful even for his frame, but I don't know that he has the style, the creativity from a dunking standpoint to win this.
So you like Jackson Jr. Will you also be betting McClung then? And maybe it's an opportunity that someone can. Hey, the Daytona 500 is happening this weekend. Maybe a little parlay across sports. Maybe parlay, something like McClung in your favorite Rising Stars team. How will you be betting this event? If you do like Jackson, sounds like you'll have some unit allocation there. How do you kind of split it up between him and McClung at such a heavy favorite -230?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not gonna bet McClung straight. I'm gonna throw him in a parlay. And then Jackson I will bet straight. And I'll
Okay.
probably do half a unit on Jackson, and then yeah, just the parlay probably for half a unit, probably.
Okay.
So,
Perfect.
but I
Perfect.
won't be betting McClung straight. Just I think he probably will win, and I think that's
Hmm.
why he's such a heavy odds
Yeah.
favorite. But I just don't see the value outside of just kind of throwing him into a parlay.
Yeah, and that line's probably going to move. I remember last year this opened around -130. Of course, Jaylen Brown was getting some action, and then I'm pretty sure by the weekend McClung was. I don't think he was all the way -200, but he was definitely past like the 165, 170 mark. So if you do want to bet McClung, it's probably best to get in early, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
line will probably move right ahead of the
Yeah.
ahead of the contest would be my guess.
Yeah.
People are gonna go. They're gonna go on YouTube. They're gonna be like, oh,
They're
they're
gonna
gonna
watch
see,
this program. Yeah.
right? They're gonna see the absolute just ridiculousness that is Mac McClung. So, yeah,
Awesome. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead. Let's move forward to Sunday night's showcase. It is the NBA All-Star Game. And like the Rising Stars Challenge, the All-Star Game itself will be now a mini tournament, which I think is a genius move. It's getting underway 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday night. 3 teams of 8 stars each. Again, that 4th team will be the winner of the Rising Stars Challenge. It's 2 rounds, with the first team to score 40 points advancing to the finals. Teams include Team Shaq +180. You got LeBron, Steph, Kyrie, who's subbing for AD, Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, Dame, James Harden, Jaylen Brown. I mean, that is an all-star team in itself. Team Chuck, you got the Joker, Trae Young, who's subbing in for Giannis, SGA, Wemby, Pascal Siakam, Alperen Sengun, and then Kat. So a lot of international players on Team Chuck. And then Team Kenny's got Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brunson, Jared Jackson Jr., Cade Cunningham, Darius Garland, Tyler Hero, Evan Mobley, and Jalen Williams. The Rising Star team is currently listed at 8-1 odds as well. On paper, Drew, this looks like another 2-horse race. However, you never know what you're going to get in the All-Star game, especially this year, what the matchups are going to be. So what team are you currently getting invested with?
I think it's hilarious how Team Shaq just has all the old heads.
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, I'm gonna get all the guys who are 35. I may have played a few seasons with them. Honestly, I don't even know how to analyze this. Just because we're looking at new format, you don't really know. First to 40 kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
No shot clocks. Like, who is I don't know how it's unprecedented, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's all speculation. You can't really say like, oh, well, the team that LeBron's been on has won 5 of the past 7 years. It's like, well, you can't really do that here. I can tell you, I don't think I'm going with Team Shaq. Uh,
Ooh.
if yeah, I don't know. I
It's a little
just
ageist. That's a little ageist from you, my friend Drew.
feel a little ageist. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how hard I see them playing really. I might take like a half unit flyer on Team Kenny actually.
Mm.
to be honest. The other thing is Team Chuck, like Jokic doesn't want to be out there.
Well, I was gonna ask that
Doesn't
because
wanna be
his
out
MVP odds are so long. So
there.
he's someone who, like, you would think just Jokic in his nature would want to kind of bow up for these events and show up because he's a hard nosed player. But it
Right.
feels like he just when there's no record on the line, he doesn't care.
He doesn't care. If you think his defense bad during the regular season, you're not even gonna want to. You close your eyes, like just turn your
Yeah.
head. You're not gonna want to see this. So that's what I think he's gonna be such a liability on the
Mm.
defensive end. So yeah, I just don't think he wants to be out there. Yeah, so I don't know. I might take a flyer on like Team Kenny. So just
Well,
have to for fun, really.
yeah, I mean, it makes sense when you think of it from the angle that, hey, these are the younger guys. These
Yeah.
are the more hungry guys. Like Cade Cunningham, definitely not, a big star nationally yet. Jaren Jackson Jr., a guy who has developed really well over the years, but still a little bit under the radar. Same with Jalen Williams, who, it has great stars that he's playing with night in and night out. So kind of takes a little bit of a Robin seat there. So I kind of like that analysis, honestly. Any hope for the rising star team, because they're another one who they're going to go balls to the wall, and you can get them at 8-1 currently. So any love for them at all, or do you just think they're going to be outclassed here in talent?
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to say because like last year, the East put up what did they put up like 211, two
Right.
thirteen, something
Yeah.
like that. It's like what are you going to get as far as defense?
Hmm.
And how much of that is going to translate to this? Is it going to be more competitive? I would imagine it's going to be at least a little more competitive. And if it's at least a little more competitive than it has been in previous seasons, then I do think like Rising Stars will probably be a little outclassed.
Okay. Okay. Well, hey, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Let's round out the program by looking at who will take home the All-Star Game MVP. Damian Lillard won it last year, but we haven't had back-to-back winners of this award in 8 straight years. Looking at the odds, and these are only at FanDuel currently, the favorites are Steph Curry 7-1, Wemby 7-1, SGA plus 750, LeBron 9-1, Anthony Edwards 10-1, Damian Lillard to go for the repeat 11-1, Jalen Brunson 15-1, but also some value down the board. We talked about Joker 29-1. Drew's not liking that number, I don't think still. KD 19-1, Jason Tatum 19-1. What are your thoughts here? Because this realistically, if you hit this bet, could be your biggest payout of the weekend, Drew.
It absolutely could be, but it's also going to be by far the hardest one to hit,
Mm,
to hit
yeah.
because it's not as simple as one team versus the other team anymore.
Hmm.
Now you're looking at it's a little mini tournament style, so 2 games have to be won, and then the person obviously who gets selected for MVP has to be the best in those 2 games. A few things to consider, kind of interesting stuff. So like you mentioned, there hasn't been back-to-back All-Star Game MVPs since Russ in 2015 and
Yep.
2016. There's only been one other example of a player who won back-to-back All-Star Game MVPs in the history of this event.
Mm,
So dating back to like I think the early to mid 50s. So a
wow.
long time. Yeah, long time. And that was Bob Pettit. And here's the catch with that even. Bob Pettit won it solo 58, but he was a co-winner in 59. So he didn't even win
Mm,
it outright necessarily. So if history tells us anything, I don't think Damian Lillard's going to win again.
okay.
um, and then a few other sort of extraneous thoughts. Cat's finger has been bothering him recently. It appears he's always looking down at it, kind of messing with it. His shooting hasn't been quite as efficient, particularly from 3 recently. So I'm not going to go with Cat. Interestingly enough, as well, first time winners have also won the All Star Game MVPs the last 5 times. And nobody with home court advantage has won since Anthony Davis in 2017. So
Oh, wow.
I don't know if Curry necessarily should be like an obvious betting favorite necessarily, especially with as much offensive firepower as Team Shaq does have in the event that they actually do try hard. I just think there's a lot of different talent there. And then obviously, as I mentioned, Jokic couldn't care less to be out there.
Yeah.
Don't bet on him. Don't do it. I know how tempting it is. You see a giant number next to his name and you're like, no, but no, don't do it. I like Anthony Edwards in SGA. And obviously not afraid to let the threes fly. Guy's shooting like 10, 11, 12 threes a game. So I can see him just chucking a ton in an event that typically in recent history has been lots of threes and lots of dunks. I think that benefits somebody like Ant. As far as SGA is concerned, I think that he wants to solidify his MVP case. And I also think that he probably wants to put the free throw merchant convos to rest. I think he's probably tired of hearing that. So in an event that's not going to draw free throws, it's going to, be shot making. I think SGA will want to step up and show out. So Ant in SGA, that's who I like in this.
Okay, Anthony Edwards 10-1, and then also a ticket on SGA plus 750. Drew, awesome hearing all your thoughts today, man, on what is really going to be an exciting weekend for all NBA and basketball fans in general. That's going to do it for us today on the Betting Pros podcast. Enjoy the NBA All-Star Weekend. Please subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel and the podcast feed. Plus, download the BP app and sync your sportsbooks today. For Drew Norton, I'm Seth Woolcock. Thanks for watching. Take care, y'all.